Hello, in this video I'll be talking about a tool that I have spent some time developing. It's called UDIM Editor. It allows you to make and modify UDIM textures inside Unreal. So for starters, to demonstrate its capabilities and explain what each button does, I'll start with two key textures because they are common, and select all of these and click New. And if you wait a little bit, the representations will be shown here. You can click each of it, you can zoom in and zoom out. You can see the number representation in the 1000 because that's what UDIMs are using to represent each tile. So let's add this texture by dragging and dropping it there, or alternatively click the add selected and you can see it's being added here. You can also select it and click the delete selected to delete any selected textures. You can click blank to add a placeholder texture. You can click the hide tile number, it will make the number disappear. You can click the swap places, it will swap the last two selected textures, and the relocate will actually insert into the last selected position. You can also drag the texture for easier placement to insert it into a place or to relocate it somewhere else. That's also possible. Now on this side, the texture format, you can actually change the texture format to the selected to each of it. Now you change to RGBA 16 and back into BGRE 8. For layout, it defaults to UDIM, which are rows of 10. You can also use the smallest square on the horizontal or vertical. This allows it to have minimal wasted texture space. Or you can define your custom row using the custom layout, for example here 12, because Unreal is not limited by the amount of rows actually. The path defines the place where it will be saved to. The name is generic name. You can change to whatever you like. The suffix already detected as base color. You can use the suffix override to overwrite it. And this is the override texture. We will use it later if you want to overwrite instead of creating a new texture. So let's make our UDIM here. We click the make UDIM and we can see that this is the texture that's made. You can see all the textures here, even the ones we actually relocated, they have been relocated here. UDIMs are virtual textures. Now, what is this? Well, you may ask. It's a feature which detects the other corresponding maps for the textures you've selected. So we are now breaking them down. First one was the normal, and the second one was roughness, and this is the ambient occlusion, roughness, and metallic in one map. And the blank ones are the ones that haven't been detected. And now let's modify the UDIM that we have just made by clicking the new. We can delete it if you want, any of it. Let's change the position of this one, of the rope, and changing the layout to this. We will overwrite, you'll use this instead of making a new texture. But before that, let's explain what the extract textures does by selecting two textures and click extract textures. And we can see that not only the two textures have been extracted, but their normal and ambient occlusion or ORM counterparts have been extracted as well. You can disable that by unticking the sync with other textures, and you can see only that texture have been exported. And of course, the extract all or extract all of the textures inside. So before we make the change, let's look at the original size here is 61 megabytes. So now let's override that by clicking the make UDIM again. Check the size, it's 46 megabyte. The original was 61. And the reason for that is the rows, especially the last row in which some of the textures are not used, but they still count in the final size. I'm talking about disk size only. You can change the tile colors if you want. So how big of a UDIM texture we can make with this? Let's first delete all of these textures to free up some memory size because I haven't saved those and they reside in memory. And the answer is once again depends on the memory, how much system memory you have. In this example, we got around 98. Now, not all of it will be added because not all of them are power of 2, and some of them have different aspect ratio. And I forgot to change the layout, and autosave kicked in the worst moment possible. So now I have to redo it again. So note to my future self to disable autosave whenever I'm dealing with large textures. Let's do it again and let's see. So now we have to wait. By the way, most of the video is being sped up by 2x or 200%. You can see all textures being added, 96. out of 98, and I always click refresh to make sure that non-compatible textures are being removed. As for resources, this is memory intensive. Uh, Although the system uses 24 gigabyte, now 27 out of 64 gigabyte of the system memory, but that includes everything. And I have Chrome open in the background. I think I forgot to change the path once again. Just a moment, just to make sure. Okay. Uh, it went to the default path, which is the main content folder. It should be somewhere around here. Yes, generic name. You can see the size here, 308 megabyte. And we can also bake. Let's actually bake the normal. Still hovers around 28 for these. Of course, the size is larger because the compression for normal maps are different. There is a feature that I forgot to mention. I'm going to demonstrate it now. For this ambient occlusion roughness metallic, let's actually get matching one. You see those black or blank textures that I said is used as a placeholder, so it doesn't mess up the order. You can actually drag any texture onto them or any other ones. It's not just for the blank textures. You can just drag and drop into a place and it will change the texture if they are compatible, of course. Now let's save, and once again the video is sped up by 2x. Okay, yeah, let's open. You can see those textures have been changed. The imported is one by one because of the first texture was blank. That counts it as that. So the question is it limited to 2K? No, you can even use 8K. In this example, I'll use these 7 or 8K texture. Yeah, 7 because one of them is not compatible. As for the size, 7 8K textures should be equal to 7 times 16, around 110 2K textures, so the size would make sense. Yeah, the size does make sense, both memory and here. You see all the details of 8K textures. You can also make the normal as usual. What about different aspect ratios? For example, textures that are not square. Something like this, 2K by 4K, which should be an aspect ratio of 1 to 2 or 2 to 1. So what about those, you may ask? I'm happy to say that they're also compatible. There are no problem with them. Just that all the textures must be the same aspect ratio. They may be different size. For example, 2K maybe mixed with 512 or 8K. There is no problem in that as long as their aspect ratio are the same. In this example, all of the textures are 2 to 1, so 4K by 2K, and you can actually make UDIM without any problem. So now let's try adding a different texture. Just normal 2K. We click add, but it doesn't get added because, like I said, different aspect ratio gets filtered. So they must be the same aspect ratio. And for example, this one gets added because it's the same aspect ratio. And I demonstrated this before, but you can drag and drop the textures however you like and change them. So do you need this plugin? That's a good question, and it actually depends on you. Personally, I think UDIMs and large virtual textures are the future. However, they do have cost. There are some situations in which those costs can be easily justified. For example, a mesh with too many materials and too many draw costs. UDIMs and virtual textures in general can reduce that. And this is just a tool that facilitates or helps to modify or make such textures or extract UDIM textures into normal textures if you already have them. So where and when can you buy it? If you're interested, the answer is it's complicated. I tried bringing it to the Unreal Marketplace, but because they do not support a payment method that supports where I live, so that idea went down the drain. So if you know other places where they support many different payments, please do let me know. And yes, most of it is written in C++, if you're wondering about that. And if you have a question or a feedback or some missing features that would be really helpful, please do let me know so I can try to add in them. Hope you're having a good day. Peace.